The good news is that this episode was only an hour long. The bad news is that next week's episode is like 3 hours long. Because they hate us all. They hate us all and they want us to watch a lot. Jesus Christ. But I'm trying to, let's remain positive. Look at these pictures on my wall. I took them and my mom sent them to me. And now they're on my wall and I feel really good about it. I wasn't only half paying attention during this episode. Because not a lot happened, first of all, but also because I had more pressing things. I had to write up a lesson plan because I got observed today. And I don't lesson plan, so I had to write one to send to my administrator. So I was doing that. And then I was trying to look at flights to San Francisco because I think... I'm scared. I'm so scared. I think I'm going to book a flight to San Francisco and stay there for like 5-ish days during spring break. Because... I don't have anybody to travel with because I have no lover, and all my friends are like busy with their lives that cannot accommodate me in my schedule. So I don't have anybody to travel with, and so I feel like I need to learn to travel alone. I need to put on my big girl pants and try it. And so I figured, well, because first of all, I just renewed my passport, so I can't guarantee that I'll have my new passport in time for spring break in 6 weeks because it takes like 6 weeks to process things. I was like, okay, cool. Then I'll stay in the country and I'll go to a place I've never been and I will see if I can do it. I think I can. I'm good with solitary stuff and I'm actually good chatting up strangers. And who knows, traveling me might be incredibly adventurous and might even like do some things that normal me would never even consider. So that's what I was also doing. I was looking at flights because a little birdie told me to look at kayak on Tuesday evenings. I did find a pretty cheap price, and so I'm just kind of like, do I do it? And I also find a relatively cheap Airbnb with a woman, which is good because the other one was with a man, and I didn't want that. And she's a cat. I don't know. She looks nice on her picture, and she gets good reviews. So do I do it? I think I do, but I don't know yet. So that's what I was doing while this episode was going. Only a couple things of note. Corinne was finally given the axe. We obviously really were only keeping her around so that we could meet Raquel. She was she was sobbing when it happened. And I wanted to feel bad for her because I've been that person sobbing. I think back to the last time I sobbed, which was sadly not that long ago. It was January 5th. I remember just because it was 2 days after my birthday. I sobbed. I got it together. I only sobbed for a short amount of time. But those, like, heaving sobs were like, I woke up the next day and I think my abs were on fire. Although I had taken my first kickboxing course on the 4th, that Wednesday, and so it actually was probably just delayed reaction. So, there was that. So Corinne's probably got maybe a little bit of a workout, but she's also probably way more fit than me. So she was finally cut, and she was sobbing. But then in the car ride, again, I was only half paying attention. She was talking about how, and actually this was good. Like, this was like an empowerment moment that I hope actually is a real empowerment moment, although it's probably not because I think she talks to Chad. And when she was like, I need to stop putting my man on a pedestal and obsessing over whether he's okay and blah, 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 blah. What I need is someone to check on me and see if I'm okay. She's like, so I'm not going to go chasing. Like, they can come to me with a ring. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, yeah, I'm glad the marriage is still apparently the be-all and end-all. But I'm glad that you've come to this conclusion, at least temporarily. I hope that it sticks. I think that we can all kind of use that advice. I know that I can. I know that my tendencies are to caretake. I want to caretake you. So if something's wrong, I want to help you. I want you to be your best self. Meanwhile, it's kind of like for myself, like, I'm cool kind of just doing whatever as long as I can take care of you. Please let me take care of you. And my therapist is like, well, who takes care of you? Fuck, I don't fucking know. Nobody's been interested in the job. Therapist, thank you for reminding me. But it's a good question to ask, and you'd hope to have an equal partnership where you're taking care of each other. So Corinne, I hope you find what you're looking for, even though I still think you're absolutely batshit crazy. Then they go to Finland, because that's where you go when you want to be romantic. Actually, I think it's pretty cool. I would totally go to Finland. I would love to go to Finland one day, and maybe if I do go to San Francisco and learn that I can travel by myself, I will be then adventurous to travel, first of all, probably to English-speaking countries that are not America, when I get my passport, and then after that is successful, to non-English speaking countries. Although in Finland, I know they all speak English pretty much, from what I gather, because nobody speaks Finnish but Finns. You know, it's like if you go to France, it's like yeah, like if you want to deal with the outside world, you can still speak French, and only French, because so many people around the world speak French, and same with Spanish. But there's certain languages where it's kind of like, if you don't speak another major language besides your language, yeah, you're not going to find much success outside of your country. But whatever, that's a digression. So they go to Finland, and it's a really, the rest of the episode is so bizarre because it focuses in on Raven, so it's only an hour, so I don't know why they broke it up the way that they did. Maybe it was, he also had a conversation with Andy before the rose ceremony where he cut Corinne, and it was kind of it was a really weird one, and I feel like it was actually somewhat intentional, because it ended up devolving into a conversation about fantasy suites, and whether he should fuck these women in the fantasy suites, when he's down to 3 in Finland, and he was like, well, I don't know if I should, because, like, that might complicate things, and da-da-da-da, and Andy is there to be like, well, you know what, I think if you have a conversation with them, and you're both, like, understand what's going on, then you should totally have sex with them, if that's what you both want. And I'm like, yeah, that's sound advice, but here's the thing. Nick wants to have sex with all of them. That's a given. But I think it's easy to be, like, the cool girl, and to be like, yeah, like, I guess it's okay if you fuck that girl. You still love me. And the thing is, it's like, if he sleeps with them, it doesn't matter how chill they are about it. If they have real feelings for him, and then he the next day fucking cuts them from the competition, they're gonna be pissed. He was pissed in Andy's season that she slept with him and then cut him. Why would he do that to these girls? Because they can be, again, as chill and as cool girls as they want to be, but they're not going to be that way in reality, especially if they're cut. So just fucking keep it in your pants. Just keep it in your pants. And so it's very clear to me that, like, that conversation was almost there, so that, because, Nick is known now as a slut shamer because of what he said to Andy in the reunion thing, to kind of, like, give us an, okay, it's okay for Nick to have sex. We should be okay with this. That's all that was. And so fuck you, ABC and The Bachelor, for being so transparent, and also, like, fuck you, honestly, for trying to justify him fucking these 3 women and then getting rid of 2 of them. Because I'm telling you, even if they say they're okay with it, they're not okay with it. Not these particular women. Because women who are truly okay with that don't go on The Bachelor. Because it would never occur to them to go on The Bachelor. Because they are already living lives that they probably are somewhat satisfied with, at least many of them. And the others are probably just in a situation where they just would never show up on The Bachelor. So anyway, they go to Finland. He has a date with Raven. That was the only date that he had here. Rachel and Vanessa come next week. Here's the thing. I was only half paying attention. I think they have good chemistry. I don't know. I don't really know what they did. I know at some point they threw darts. But here's where my ears perked up. It was like, Raven apparently has never had an orgasm. And she is more than comfortable telling the entire world this. I don't think there's anything to be ashamed of. I think that lack of orgasms for women is a thing. And a thing that probably actually should be discussed in a lot more ways, because, the fact of the matter is that women just don't orgasm for the most part like men. Men are most likely going to have an orgasm every single time. A woman who has an orgasm every single time, or a woman who has multiple orgasms, is, like, I don't want to say rare, but good for them. And I think there's a lot of myths, and I think that, and this is just from what I've gathered, having not had sex with a man, and totally cool with it, which, by the way, I had that conversation today with my therapist, because I have a tendency to have sex dreams about men. I have hug dreams about women. I think it's an intimacy thing. I don't know. Because for me, like, sex is intimate, but it's not the most intimate I could be with somebody. So, I don't know. It's just a theory. But, where was I? I think that there's a lot of men out there who simply don't know how to pleasure women because they don't understand, and they probably don't understand this. It's not necessarily their fault, although it's a lot their fault, that every woman's body is a little bit different. right? So that I know how I could bring a man to orgasm. It seems like it's relatively uncomplicated. I'm sure that there are better orgasms he could have that someone else would be able to give him that I could not, but I could get him there. But with women, it's a trial and error process oftentimes for many of them, and so a lot of them are not getting what they need from their men because the men simply don't know, and because the women themselves don't know or are embarrassed to say it. And I think that's sad. I think it's sad. We should talk more about this. However, not on The Bachelor. I don't want to hear about Raven's lack of orgasm on The Bachelor. I just don't. And I guess because she's so excited for Nick to do it, and that puts a lot of pressure on Nick. That puts a lot of pressure on someone when they tell you I don't orgasm, or I've never orgasmed. I actually would prefer that I just don't do it, because then it's like, oh yeah, I'll show you. It's more of a, it's not, but it's intimidating to be told I have never orgasmed during sex, because then it's like you're challenging me to like, oh, what if you don't orgasm with me? Are you gonna be really disappointed because you seem to think I'm gonna do it? I'll try, but like, I don't know. First time especially, like, I need to learn your body in some cases. This just is intimidating. And I get the impression that Nick is probably pretty good at sex for a man, but I don't want. I'm so sad that I just said that. I'm sorry. But that's just a lot. And she kept saying it. She's only been with one guy. And one thing I thought was really interesting, and this actually kind of echoed for me in some ways, is that she was like, I don't think I had an orgasm with my last boyfriend, her only boyfriend. She's only ever had, I don't know, only boyfriend. She's only ever had sex with this one guy, is because she wasn't sure that she doesn't think that she ever trusted him. Actually, no, she said, I love you. She never told him I love you because she never trusted it. I think that orgasms work similarly. Not for all women, of course, but I think there's a lot of women who don't orgasm during sex because they're not sure that they can trust their partner with that part of them. I think it's more than a working theory. I think it's a legit theory that I have, and I feel like I've seen it in my presence proven. Don't orgasm my ass. I just don't want her to... Because here's the thing. If Raven's never had an orgasm, what if she does with Nick? What if he's just really good and she does orgasm? You know what orgasms do to people? They, like, produce feelings and shit for so many. She's gonna wake up the next morning more in love with him than she thinks she is now. And then he may not choose her. And then what? What is that gonna tell her? So this is why Nick shouldn't be sleeping with any of them in the fantasy suite. It's why the Bachelorette shouldn't sleep with them in the fantasy suite when it's her turn. Just don't do it. Sex complicates things, and sex does not mean intimacy, but so many people mistake it for that. Just keep it in your fucking pants, because if you're gonna sleep with them, just wait a fucking week. That's all you have to do, Nick. That's literally all you have to do. So I'm hoping that we come back next week and he doesn't sleep with her, because he's just kind of like, listen, I don't want to put us in a position that could go wrong. But he probably won't, because he's Nick. I don't have anything else to say. This is actually way more than I thought I would say. This is still almost almost 14 minutes right now. Like, what is the deal? Can I tell you something? I've been trying a new deodorant. It's charcoal based. It worked fine in the last week. Like, I haven't really had any issues. And then the last 2 days going to work, I feel I've smelled to high heaven, 2 days in a row. And so I have this theory now, and we'll try to see if I can prove or disprove it. I'm going to switch back to my old deodorant during the work week, at least. Because, I swear to God, it was not an issue over break when I was actually more physically active. I think that work me has a different sweat component than leisure me. And that work me is stressed out and just smells a lot, and the deodorant can't handle it. This is a theory. So I'll keep you updated on that. And other than that, I will probably not watch next week's episode. I don't know, because I don't want it to be spoiled for me. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'll watch it, I guess, when I watch it. Maybe I might have to just try it to watch it in chunks. I don't know how I'm going to do 3 hours and 15 minutes anyway. So I'll see you next week at some point.